At NSUC, we're proudly grounded in love, guided by reason, committed to spiritual growth, and striving for justice. Each of these phrases applies to Earth Day. Grounded in love, as in the seventh principle found in your order of service. We value the web of connections to the earth, all creatures and living things, community, fellow humans, and future generations. Guided by reason, the evidence suggests that unless we change course, we will cause the sixth mass extinction in the last 500 million years. Committed to spiritual growth. Many of us experience a spiritual connection with natural environments and striving for justice. Both pollution and climate change first affect the people, animals, plants, and ecosystems with the least power and influence. Fighting pollution and climate change means striving for justice. Today, in lieu of a sermon, 3 members of NSUC's Green Team will share personal stories of what motivates us to protect the environment and what actions we're taking. We hope this framework will help you to identify what motivates you to protect the environment. We'll conclude with a musical meditation on our hopes, fears, and actions of the future. Yes, there is homework. We ask that you participate by writing a hope on the earth for the earth, a fear on the comet, which represents a harbinger, and or an action on the sun, which represents energy. We hope you will leave with inspiration and commitment to take action. Now, who's the first to share? Oh yeah, that's me. The environment became spiritual for me through regular hikes at local, state, and then national parks, first with my family, and then on my own. Now that I have children, I hope to share my love of nature with them through those same visits. However, for many years, my love of nature was paired with a sense of despair. As I saw the effects of pollution and man-made climate change erasing seemingly timeless places, I felt hopeless. My hope has grown due to the aggregations of small observations and actions. When Jess and I moved to Lake Forest in 2018, we were surprised by the lack of municipal compost programs. Our previous 2 cities had robust programs. I noticed that over 80% of my waste could be diverted from the landfill to the compost and produce useful soil rather than greenhouse gases. So I purchased a composter from the city and put it in my backyard. Eventually, the compost was piling up with no discernible use, so I decided to garden vegetables. I was surprised to learn that I enjoyed it. That led me to volunteer to burn the NSUC prairie with Dave Napolo, which led to my own interest in native gardening in my new home and to advocate for native land restoration and municipal compost. Noticing a small difference led to a change in my behavior, which led to community action and then political action. May we all find the small actions that bring us peace and connect us to that larger web of community. Next, Jim Merrick will speak.
Good morning, I'm Jim Merrick, and I use the he, him pronouns. I believe we're privileged to share our existence with the other inhabitants of this planet, and I'm confident that we're all becoming better stewards for it. I want to wish you all a happy Earth Day. This year's Earth Day theme, Planet versus Plastics, is a call to arms for a 60% reduction in production of plastics by the year 2040. An ultimate goal of building a plastics-free future for generations to come for the sakes of human and planetary health. Single-use plastics are particularly troublesome. Single-use plastics are particularly troublesome, and so efforts are underway to eliminate their use by the year 2030. How can we, as Unitarians, reconcile the use of plastics with our 7th Unitarian Universalist principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part? Our environment and our bodies have been infiltrated by microplastics and toxic cancer-causing forever chemicals, commonly referred to as PFAs. PFAs were used to make nonstick cookware, firefighting foams, and stain-repellent carpets and fabrics. But instead of bringing us benefit, we found that they pose a high toxicity risk. The numbers on plastics are staggering, and I apologize, I'm an engineer, so you're going to get some numbers. Production has grown to more than 380 million tons a year. I don't even know what that looks like. 500 billion plastic bags were produced last year. That's roughly 1 million bags per minute. 100 billion plastic beverage containers were sold last year, roughly 300 per person. The fast fashion industry, and that was a new thing to me, I'd never heard of it until I decided to put this little speech together, is intertwined with social injustice as evidenced by their highly exploitative working conditions, low wages, and child labor. This industry also produced 100 billion garments last year, of which 85% will end up in landfills or incinerators. Sadly, 95% of all plastics are not recycled. Widespread use of disposable objects in our lives appears to correlate with treating our relationships as disposable. If we can callously throw out items before the true end of their usefulness, then aren't we thoughtlessly harming our fellow human beings by unnecessarily causing environmental damage? But we don't have to let these numbers overwhelm us or accept the status quo. We can answer the call to action by committing to eliminating single-use plastics today. Identify the single-use plastics in your home, car, workplace, etc., and replace them with a reusable alternative. Refuse to use or take single-use plastic utensils, bags, cups, and containers when we shop or eat out, and substitute reusable beverage containers and containers. We can make tangible impact in plastic reductions if we practice the 5 R's. That is to refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycle. The 5 R's have become a way of life in the Merrick household and members of the NSUC Green Team. Every good deed helps us find the climate hero within us and feel the satisfaction of living responsibly and helping sustain the interdependent web of all existence. I briefly want to tell you about some of the climate heroes I think are good role models. Faith Bailey is one. Faith, could you please stand up and be acknowledged? I see you, Faith. She has a true talent for repurposing single-use plastics, plastic bags, and disposable items and converting them into useful gift wrap, holiday decorations, and party decorations. Her creativity and imagination astound me. Faith, thank you for all you do to help sustain our sustainability, or help our sustainability, excuse me. Another climate hero, maybe new to you, he was new to me. Boyan Slat is from the Netherlands, educated at the Delft Technical University. He was motivated by a scuba dive vacation to Greece, where his underwater adventures were filled with not fish or wildlife, but rather plastic. At 29 years old, he is the CEO and founder of the nonprofit, The Ocean Cleanup. In the Pacific Ocean, roughly midway between California and Hawaii, there's an area referred to as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, or GPGP. It is the largest of 5 major ocean accumulations of plastic, covering an area of 1.6 million square kilometers. In case you're wondering what that is, it's like twice the area of Texas. In its first 3 years, it took them 3 years to do this now, the Ocean Cleanup performed extensive sampling and analysis of the area and determined there were more than 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic in the patch, with an estimated mass of 100,000 tons. Mainly, for those of you who are familiar with them, polyethylene and polypropylene, and with size distribution from microplastics, that's less than 1/2 centimeter, up to over 50 centimeters. So far, they've collected and processed over 10 million kilograms of plastic from the GPGP, and they plan to finish that patch by the year 2040. So basically, Boyan has taken his entire career to do this cleanup, okay? That's why he's my hero. The plastic they collect is converted to fresh feedstock for injection molding to make new objects from recycled plastic. And if you're interested, you've got the website in the handouts. You can purchase sunglasses made from the recycled plastic at their website. So I hope you'll decide to take at least one new climate action to reduce the impact of plastics on the environment this Earth Day. Climate heroes like Faith Bailey and Boyan Slat inspire us all to work harder and take even more action to combat climate change. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Carla Mans-Giroux. I use she, her pronouns. And I want to talk a little bit about simplicity. My spiritual practice of simplicity was triggered by my cancer journey some years ago. I realized that the intensity, fast-paced, and clutter in my life was causing me a lot of stress, which was reducing my body's ability to fight cancer and heal from it. To reduce the stress, I needed to create space in my home, in my life, in my schedule, and in my mind, to live a more uncluttered life. I needed to find clarity about what truly mattered to me and let go of what didn't. That's the practice and goal of simplicity. It was only later that I realized what a powerful climate action the practice of simplicity is. Simplicity is not about deprivation, but about finding richness in what truly matters. More is not necessarily better. Having more and desiring more is a bit of an addiction. The more we have, the more we think we need. Chasing after material possessions and living a hectic life does not bring me true fulfillment. By focusing on what really matters to me, loving others and cultivating meaningful connections, and by reducing the distractions of consumerism that society bombards us with, I have found freedom and a greater sense of contentment and fulfillment. However, living simply is not necessarily simple. Embracing simplicity as a spiritual practice requires us to be intentional in our actions, thoughtful in our planning, and discerning in our choices. Simplicity helps me become more self-aware as I look within to distinguish my true needs, my most important goals, versus what is inessential or even harmful in my life. It empowers me to live with purpose, authenticity, and a deeper appreciation for the world around me. In doing so, I have realized that our consumption is a prime driver of climate change. Our use of fossil fuels for manufacturing has caused escalating greenhouse gases in the atmosphere that cause climate change. Our seventh principle is about respecting the interdependent web of which we are a part. We have a responsibility to the planet, to all creatures, to those suffering from environmental justice, and to future generations. No one deserves to have more at the expense of the greater good. We need to take ownership of the problem and take responsibility for our own part in climate change. Simplicity is a powerful action for both the climate and environmental justice. Reducing our consumption means less manufacturing, which means less use of fossil fuels, which means reduced greenhouse gas emissions, which helps mitigate climate change, which reduces impacts on environmental justice communities. We cannot fall for advertisements, give in to the latest trends, or trust that retailers and manufacturers have our best interests and the interests of the earth at heart. Living a simpler life is a journey that requires patience, mindfulness, and a willingness to make changes step by step. Transitioning to a simpler lifestyle can seem daunting. Even now, I often look at my home and all the possessions that have accumulated there, and I get a bit overwhelmed. The key is to start small and gradually incorporate habits that align with your vision of a simpler, higher quality life, and here are a few principles that I follow. I focus on decluttering, focusing on one area of my home at a time, letting go of items that no longer serve me, or just get rid of things I haven't used in a while. And I donate them to our church rummage sale so that others can reuse these items. And reusing items means less need to manufacture more. I also embrace the concept of quality over quantity, buying less and opting for products that are sustainable, eco-friendly, and will last over time. I choose sustainable products when possible. I refuse what I don't need, especially disposable products, and I find reusable ones instead. I recycle whenever I can, curbside, at our recycling center here at NSUC, and our upcoming recycling rally in May. I eat more plants and almost no meat for my own health and for the health of the planet. I compost and compost in my small veggie garden that I started a few years ago. I slow down. I spend more time in nature. Simplifying my life allowed more time and space for the sacred. Living with less brings forth more gratitude and appreciation for what I do have. Connection with the natural world and the people in my life brings more satisfaction. Doing my part to take care of the planet for future generations to enjoy is immensely fulfilling. But I am still a work in progress, so I'm learning more. I am taking action one step at a time. I'm trying to make better choices. I urge you to join me in becoming a more conscious consumer. As you walk the simplicity path, celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and continue to make conscious choices that align with your values, including our UU principles. By choosing simplicity, you will reduce your environmental footprint, save money, and experience a greater sense of well-being and freedom. Together, we can all play our part as climate heroes, creating a better future for ourselves, the planet, and generations to come. Thank you. Before the music begins, I'll give you those instructions again for what we're going to do during this time. So during the musical meditation, as Catherine plays gorgeous music for us, you see these two tables here, and they have Earth Day posters on them representing the Earth, a comet, which represents danger, and the sun, representing energy. During the music, you're invited to come up and write a hope for the Earth, on the Earth, a fear on the comet, and an action that you will take on the sun.